Hello, old school developers. Today we are going to rewrite our login flow to be able to secure login to our application through the Chat GPT. Let me quickly remind you why do we need to rewrite this flow at all. So we are building Spring Boot application. This is the car maintenance tracker. The backend built on the Spring Boot, as I said before, and some Postgres database. The front end, I'm going to use the custom Chat GPT. We can integrate our backend REST API with the Chat GPT using OpenAPI specification. And the original plan was to let Chat GPT just use the login endpoint, as you can see, with user and password. But as you could realize that this approach is not super secure, because the user would need to write his password directly into the Chat GPT, and the chats, I'm not sure that chats, is stored in a secure way. Also, someone else could get access to your chat and read your password, and a lot of users unfortunately use the same password to a lot of different different sites. So that is why the idea is the following. So this is the Chat GPT. The user comes into the chat and say, log me in by the email, and Chat GPT makes a request to our server. We generate auth code and save it to the Redis. On previous stream, I showed it as a database, but I decided to introduce Redis, just for education purposes and for the simplicity, because Redis, can store the data during some period of time, and I do not need to clean it up by my hands. So that is an idea, and we store the auth code into the Redis. And in the same time, we send the email to the user with the auth code. So this could be the some shortcode with the numbers or letters and numbers. That doesn't matter. So the user gets the email, and it goes back to the Chat GPT and say, this is the auth code. And Chat GPT goes to the separate endpoint in our REST API and say, please exchange this auth code to JWT token. So the backend gets the auth code. It validates that this auth code exists in the Redis by the email. And if everything is valid, it returns back the JWT token, and the ChatGPT can use the JWT token to make the request to our API, to get the list of the cars or create the new car, and so on and so on. So that is the idea. And if you have, better ideas about the secure flow to log in the user into the ChatGPT, just let me know. Drop the comment below. Yeah, and as I show you, we already have the login endpoint, and we need to remove the password here and create one more endpoint to generate the auth code and send the email. So today we are going to start with the endpoint. Let's call it IntelliJ, come on. Let's call it auth code, something like that. What is going on, IntelliJ? Something, permission denied. Upgrade your plan. Okay, I will do. I'm on trial right now, so IntelliJ complains sometime. So this is the post summary, generate and send auth code. Can I close it? I think yes. Yeah, by email. So I think we can skip the description. Operation ID could be generate and send auth code. Text it's auth. Request body. Let me copy this. It should be fast, I think. So we don't need to return anything back, I think. In this endpoint, we can just say that auth code is generated and sent. Auth code is generated and sent to user email. And here we need to create one more request. This could be auth generate and send auth code request. The name, looks in the Spring way. Spring likes such a huge names for the classes. So, and we are following the code style. The parameters. We need just email here, so nothing else. And it's required for sure. And we need to say that this endpoint should send this request. Schema validation should have at least one of the following sets: content or property content. Really? I don't think so. What about, there is a HTTP status code that we can say, maybe it should be created because it should generate or something like that. I think it should be nothing. Let's try to generate and take a look. But in my opinion, it can be empty. I'm not sure why it's complaining right now. Content property. Okay, and what? Content? Yeah, it's complaining. Response is missing. Yeah. Is it better? I think yes. And here, this is the double request body because we copy pasted it. That should be better. Let's go to auth controller. So the build is green. The method should be generated here, and we can override it. So this is the generate and send auth code. So, and we have an AuthService. Let's ask him to generate and send the auth code. Nothing to do on the controller layer. So this should be executed in the transaction, right? We can close it right now. Let's try it. I wanted to add the Redis, as you remember. And what we need to do is, I want to start it here. So it should be the Redis, maybe CMT, car maintenance tracker Redis. The email, let's take a look quickly. Redis Docker Compose. This is the official Docker Hub, and we can see Docker Compose. Is there something? Docker Compose? No. Okay. Okay. So we can do something like that. One moment. It looks not what we need, if to be honest. This is the volume they include. And what is the port? Port, Redis port. This means that if you export the port outside of your host, it will be open without the password to anyone. That makes sense. Okay, let's do something like that. We can implement it by our own super quickly. Redis. What is the latest version? We can take a look here. This one, I think. And we will use the lightweight version. This one. Come on. How can I copy paste it? Yeah, that's better. The restart always. Container name could be CMT Redis. I don't need to specify any environment variables. I think we need to specify some volumes. It should be Redis. And I think the volume was specified somewhere here. /data. This is the path inside of the Redis container. No. Single value is expected. Okay, but it's single value. Volumes. No, it's a single value. Come on. Your path /data looks good. Not sure why it's complaining. Okay, and I wanted to expose the port. Redis port. Here it is. Like this. Again, single value is expected. What? Image restart. That is the problem. Again, again, the same problem. Okay, let's try to start it. Image is downloading. There is some error. CMT Redis. Where is this error? Error response from failed to set up container networking, failed connectivity on endpoint. Port is already allocated. Do we use this port already? It's interesting. Which project uses the... Here it is. One of my other projects already started the Redis, and that is why I cannot start it here on this port. So as you can see, the container is started, and right now we need to include the dependency, the Spring Boot Redis or something like that. Let me take a look. Spring Boot data Redis. Makes sense, maybe. Let's take a look. I don't remember. How does it look like? Introduction. Okay, Spring Data Redis. That makes sense. I think it should be created automatically. I hope so. And we can create a Redis hash and Redis repository. it's interesting. Let's take a look. We will write some integration test and test if it is working as we expect. Okay, so the model, it should be auth code, maybe user auth code or something like that. So what is this annotation? Redis hash. Let's take a look what this is. Redis hash. Marks object as aggregate roots to be stored in Redis hash. Okay, makes sense. It's just like an entity, you know, in Hibernate. So what we want to store here is, it's interesting. How does it work? The string. What is the string? This is the ID. Should we mark ID somehow? New student, okay, and retrieve by ID. What is, new student, this is the ID. We can specify it, how to find it, the field name. I don't think that we need to add some direct IDs, so we can use the email, string email, and we can add the string auth code. Use the data, and what else I wanted to add here is, it should be serializable. It's required, you know, to be able to serialize object into some string, into the Redis memory. Okay, and we want to add the user auth code repository. This is the interface. It extends the CRUD repository. It's interesting. Is it the same interface as for the Spring Data JDBC? CRUD repository. Looks interesting, if to be honest. I haven't used it before. I used directly Redis template or Spring Cache to put some data into the Redis, but right now we are using the repositories absolutely the same way as we did for the Postgres, you know, for the Spring Data GPA or Spring Data JDBC. Looks the same. It's interesting, and I like it. Okay, this should be marked as the repository. We want to insert this one to our service. So what we want to do is we want to generate somehow the code. Do we have the random number utils? No. Random utils, something like that, from Apache commands. It's deprecated. There is a random utils secure strong. Okay, and here we can generate, for example, random int or random long. So I think we want to generate maybe 4 digits. Does it make sense? Something like that. That could be the code, for example, for this particular email. It should not be too complicated, I think. Let's try to, the minimum value should be the following, and the maximum value should be the following. So the first one is inclusive and second one is exclusive. So we can specify something like that. Okay. So this is the code. This is the auth code. It could be int or string, doesn't matter. What I want to check is how to set the TTL for our object into the Redis data. Is there something like TTL? Okay, TTL. How to configure TTL? Spring. This one. That's fine. They specified the ID here. Okay. Time to leave. We can set it here. Or we can do it like this. So maybe we will do it like this, and I would prefer to configure it in the application YAML. So something like that. This is our application. This is the security, and this is the part of the security, right? So auth code, time to leave, and it should be in seconds. Really? Time to leave marks single. Expression. We can specify the time unit. It's fine. Could be by default it's in seconds. Okay, let's do it in the same way, in seconds. For example, we want to store this code during 5 minutes, 300 seconds. And let's create one more configuration property for the auth code. User auth code properties. We need to mark it as a component. We need to mark it as the configuration properties, and specify the prefix. This is, I think we can copy it from here. Should be faster. Come on. Let's go. And here is auth code, and time to leave. Oh, there is some people in the chat. Hi guys, this is the first stream when someone is right into my chat, if to be honest. I didn't try the Spring AI, if to be honest. I need to take a look at it. I use some tools, to write the code, like Cursor, the other with the different models, and in my opinion, you need to spend some time to develop the structure of the project. You need to spend the time to specify all the requirements, to establish the code style, and the AI generator can follow it. But anyway, you need to understand what you are doing to be able to review the code, because those wipe coders, they don't really know how to write the code, and they cannot understand if there's some problem or not. And I saw the topics on Reddit when guys, are writing, I wipe coded 80% of my project, and then I hired some freelancer to polish the code and make it working at the very end. So But it's a little bit different topic, and as far as I understand, the Spring AI is the project to integrate the Spring with different AI tools, right? Your data, your API, and yeah, this is the integration between the Spring, between your project and the API, for example, Chat GPT, etc., etc. Yeah, I think it makes sense to take a look what it can propose to you, but in general, my understanding is just a wrapper for the Anthropic, OpenAPI, Microsoft, and other APIs to trigger the AI. I used the OpenAPI OpenAI API. So and I asked the ChatGPT to generate some text for me, and I used it maybe 3 years ago on the websites to generate some content. So yeah, nice to meet you, Dinesh. Okay, let's proceed with our stuff. Yeah, should not be here. We need to say this is the long time to leave seconds, and it should be minimum 1. There is no sense to set 0, and it should not be null. So, and I want to mark it as the validated. So when the application starts, the properties will be validated, and we will be sure that this property is present. So I want to insert it into the AuthService. Here it is. So, and we need to build our object, user auth code. Maybe we can we will create no arc constructor and all arc constructor. Yeah, I think no arc constructor will be needed for the Redis when he will try to deserialize the hash in its memory into the object, because we'll want to retry it back, right? So, and all arc constructor I'm going to use right here. So I want to add the email. This is the email. This is the auth code. Maybe we need to convert it to the string. And I wanted to specify the time to leave as well. Yeah, that's our object. And I want to store it into the Redis. Okay, this is the first part that I wanted to do. And the second part, we need to send the email, as you remember. Where is it? Yeah, here it is. This is the first part. We generated our code and saved it. And the second part, we need to send the email. But I prefer to write the integration test right now to be sure that the Redis part is working as we expect, and then we will proceed with the emails. So we have the auth controller integration test. There is a lot of different things, not so big amount, but we have some. Oh, we don't need it anymore because we have the cleanup in the integration test right here. Okay, and I want to write the test. Let's name it. What is the name of the endpoint? Where is it? Auth controller. Should return 201, something like that. So this is the success path. So we want to write the request. It should be post auth controller API. This is the path, right? We want this can throw the exception. We want to say that content and content type. This is the application JSON. And here we can quickly specify our request object. It's quite small. Oh, maybe we'll do it in the same way as we did it before. So I have the fixtures right here. And this is the users, and we can specify the auth folder. This is the generated send auth code endpoint. This is the request, and it's valid JSON. So we can say that I think we should create some users. Let me remember car API. We can create it like this. Should be quick. So this is the email that we want to use. Yeah, we will remove the password as the next step, but right now it's fine. Let's keep it there. So this is the request. We just say that email is the following. Please generate the auth code. And I want to use it. We have the resource loader, read file, and it's inside in the following folder. Request, yeah, like this. Okay, and we expect to get the status code is created, and that's it, nothing else. And maybe I think we can try to insert the user auth repository here and try to take a look what is inside. Can we find all? It's interesting. Codes assert that those codes has size 1. Let's take a look. I think we will need to clean up the Redis stuff as well for our tests. Spring AI 0 to hero course. It's funny. I will take a look on this project. Okay, there is some error we got back. I forgot to do the most important things. We need to set up a test container for the tests. So we need to start the Redis to be able to connect to it. It should be something like that in general. So this should be Redis container. We need more dependencies, test containers. This is the Spring Boot test containers. This is the Postgres. And I think there is the Redis as well. Redis. IntelliJ, you can find it. IntelliJ, so slow. One moment. IntelliJ Redis. Test containers with Redis. This guy has such a big amount of guides, you know. Start a test containers. Okay, the new test container is not needed. Really? They use the generic one. but I think we should have something. Test containers Redis. Here it is. Though this guide is not so good. They definitely need to update it. The Redis provided this dependency. Okay, it's fine. Let's go back to our test containers. There is a Redis container. Yeah, nothing special here. So this is the Redis container, and we need to, this is the Redis container, and we need to specify the version, and we have the version right here. This image should be used. Okay, that's better. And let's go back to our test and take a look what is going on. What do you mean Spring Boot projects form the juniors? What does it mean? You can take a look, for example, my project on the GitHub. It's open source, so you can see the whole process here. Everything that I'm doing, every commit, everything. It's open source, so yeah, just don't forget to press the star button here. You can find the link in the video description. Okay, what is going on? One more problem. There is the mapping problem. Yeah, we need to specify the ID field. Okay. Auth code. I think the email should be our ID. So we do not allow users to specify two auth code in the same time. So email should be our ID. It's better. I think 401. Okay. We need to open this endpoint in our security configuration. As you remember, we have the /login here, and we need to add the /auth code here to be able to access this endpoint without the token. I hate this IntelliJ. Oh, that is better. Much better. And the test is green. Let's do one more thing for our tests. I think we need to clean up the Redis to be sure that every test, is isolated more or less. The database is clean and the Redis is clean, and each test can insert its own data, and we can be sure that the result inside of the test is fair. After class, tear down. After each test, we want to delete everything from the repository. Delete all. Yeah, that's better. Okay. One more simple test I wanted to add, just to be sure what will happen if you'll trigger the endpoint with the same email 2 times. So maybe when request is valid, should be 2.1, and this one when 2 requests made with the same email, what should happen? Should we regenerate the code? I think no. I think no. The code should not be regenerated. At least for this moment, I think let's do it like this. And then we will see if our users will complain. So to avoid regenerating the code once again, we can do something like that. We can find by ID, for example. The email is our ID. It returns the optional. So if it is present, then we can just stop immediately. This operation is not atomic. That means if there are two parallel requests with the same email, the first one could pass this check and create this email in the Redis, not email, the auth code. But the second one could pass this check as well in the parallel, because it takes time to create the auth code. So there is a little chance that the auth code will be generated twice. But I don't think that we need to spend too much attention to this problem right now and keep it simple. I do not expect that we'll have too much users. Okay, let's take a look into our test. So I generated once. We can take a look what code is this. Iterator next get auth code, and I want to trigger it once again. This is the first auth code. I'm going to trigger it once again, and we can get the second auth code, second one, and I want to say that the first auth code should be the same as the second one. Let's take a look. Okay, let's go. Okay, it's green. So the first part is implemented. Let's create the branch, maybe. New login flow. Let's name it like this. We don't have any tickets, so usual naming for the ticket looks like this. There is the ticket number, or maybe there is a feature, there is some ticket number, something like that, and then you can specify, for example, the name of your task. So, but in our case, we don't have any tasks. That is why our branches named so easy. So let's take a look what we added here. We added the time to leave. We added new auth code. By the way, maybe it makes sense to write the test to check that time to leave is actually working. What do you think? Yeah, this is our tests. What is this? AuthService. We added one more method here. We added the Redis. We added the dependency for the Redis data, and for the test containers Redis. We updated the security config. This is the test container configuration. This is the Redis entity. This is the properties. repository and the request. By the way, what I added here, this is the flow. Maybe we need to extract it once again because I exchanged the database to the Redis. Save right here, and I want to export it as the image, SVG image right here. So I added those files to the documentation of my project, and I spent little bit of time to write, the little util class. I wanted to replace this JSON. I can show you quickly. Cars API integration test. Cars controller integration test. So as you remember, those two people who watched my previous streams remember that I'm using this construction that there is a JUnit. Let me remember. This is the library to compare the JSONs, and you can say that I expect the JSON that equals to the content of this file. So, and I'm putting the content of the expected JSON into the file, and then we are comparing it. The problem here is that first time when I start the test, I do not really, I can't predict what is the expected response, but I'm too lazy, and what I am usually doing is I am starting the test, set the breakpoint, execute this part, and copy the response. Then I can validate that it is fine inside of the JSON file, and then the test is actually working. And what I did here is that I just take the response, format it, and I write it to the file. This is the first execution. So if the file does not exist, I just create all the directories and write the file here. And during the second execution, I am reading from the file and comparing the response. So this is the simple util file that I am going to use pretty soon, to speed up my development process a little bit. So I want to add it here, right? I want to add it too. So add, generate, and send auth code endpoint without emails part. Okay, looks good. I think this branch does not exist already. Yeah, I merged it. Okay, maybe we can implement the integration with the emails during the next session. What I wanted to show you today is one more simple thing. Those who watched the previous stream remember that I added Jacoco. Let me show you Jacoco plugin. Jacoco. It generates the reports about the test coverage, and I added the SonarCloud to my project and merged the first branch with this Jacoco reports, and I can see the summary here. This is my project. There is a first analysis for the main branch. And what we can see here is there is 3 open issues related to the maintainability and 1 issue related to the security. I do not say anything about the coverage. The coverage will be set up a little bit later. Oh, I need to do some additional steps. But I wanted to show you those things, what it can complain about. The first one, it complains about the naming. Replace E with a name pattern. I do not use E here. I rethrow my own exception here, right? And why it's complaining? It wants to replace the E with the underscore. This is the unnamed pattern. The second one, it complains about this test. This test was generated by the Spring Boot by start.spring.io project, where this website where we generated the skeleton of our application. So there is no asserts inside, and it makes sense to complain about it, if to be honest. So it's empty method, but it validates that context just started, and that's it, nothing else. So in general, we can delete this test. And one more complaint on the same empty method. So I think we can just remove it. There is no sense in such test. So we fixed 2 of the problems already, and let's fix the third one. Here it is. So it wants to replace it with the underscore like this. And let's take a look on the security problem. Yeah, we disabled CSRF. So you can read a little bit about this when you type of the cyber attack. So I think we need to remove this line as well. So security config. Security, yeah, here it is. We need to protect against this type of the cyber attack. I think this was the copy paste from one of my projects, from the a local host build or something like that. Let's push it. Fix SonarCloud issues. Okay. And maybe we can create the branch or create the pull request. It's not finished yet, so we can mark it as a work in progress. And take a look. I think the SonarCube should execute some checks against the main branch and write the report here. Let's take a look. So the build is started. So we are building our application with the Maven. It takes a little bit of time, so fortunately we should wait. And SonarCloud requires the JCoco report, and I think it will be generated here in the test part. Should be fast, I think. Downloads dependencies and so on. So yeah, it's almost, yeah, it's finished, and the test started. We have just few of integration tests in our application, maybe 10 or 15 or something like that. Not so big amount, but again, it takes time to execute. I didn't test it yet. So in my one of my another projects, I have the SonarCube connected, and it creates the report right here in the comments. And we can see if some new issues appeared, or the test coverage dropped, or the security issues, whatever can occur. The SonarCloud will check for you, and you will see it immediately. So it's, in my opinion, something like the tools that you need to include. There are alternatives to Sonar. Our test is working. Unfortunately, something failed. No pointer. What, really? It's good to have the integration test, but no one likes to see that your tests are read, especially on the pipelines. What is going on? Is it a result of this? You see? So we removed a little piece of code, and our tests failing, almost all of them. So let's keep in mind that we have this problem with the CSRF. Disable CSRF back. Yeah, we will need to fix it. With just 5 minutes left, and I don't want to spend a lot of time to investigate what is missing right now, but in general, we need to fix all the security issues. It's very important. Maybe we can run the build in the parallel to be sure that the build is green. My computer should be a little bit faster than GitHub Actions. Not sure, it's not a super new, but in general it should be faster. Yeah, everything is fine, build is success, and we have 17 tests. Not bad. What is going on here? New pipeline started, tests are running. It just downloaded the test containers. Yeah, build success, 17 tests here. Let's take a look on our pull request. Is there something or not? Nothing, unfortunately. I will take a look what maybe we can take a look super quickly here in the overview. Main branch, setup coverage. Nothing here. Pull requests. No pull request analyzed yet. Why? Create new. I already created. Where is my report? It looks like it takes some time to pull the branches and so on, but I need to investigate a little bit, because in the best case, we need to block the merge button in case of any security issues or the test coverage drop. So it should not be possible to merge your pull request. I will take a look how to do it and show you next time. And if you like the development process from experienced developer, you want to see what we will get at the very end, because I'm going to deploy the project to the production and integrate it with the Chat GPT finally. So please subscribe to my channel And see you on, what day is today? Wednesday? See you on Friday. Bye bye.